Hello, everyone. So, finally, remake announcement. It's about time. If for those in my live Twitch streams, if you're wondering why I haven't been super, oh my god, holy crap, unbelievably excited about it, it's not because I'm not looking forward to it. It's just you guys have a really bad habit of just assuming things before they're announced. It ended up being true. But, last few days, you guys have been asking me, so what do you think about the remake? You looking forward to the remake? What do you think about the remake? Where is it? Right here. This caught my eye. Obviously, people told me about it. Explosive arrows, too. That obviously wasn't in the original, but it was in part 2. They're part 2ifying the original game, and I think that's pretty cool. And again, for all the reasons I listed, and I think it's nice that the developers get used to the hardware. But speedrun mode. Now, I don't know if I can take credit for this. I have some of the Naughty Dog devs follow me on Twitter. If I put up a record, they usually like the tweet and stuff. But I don't know what this is, Again, I could maybe take credit for them acknowledging the hobby, but this isn't new to Naughty Dog. The Nathan Drake collection had a speedrunning mode, but they Blue Point made that. So maybe some devs played it and noticed a speedrunning mode. Here, let me switch again. Uncharted 4 also had a speedrunning trophy. I think it was beat the game on the easiest difficulty in under 6 hours or something. So it's not completely brand new. Even with part 2, I bitch, whined, and complained enough so that they added seconds to the in-game timer, And we actually worked with but the director of communications, Arnie Mayer. He was in the speedrunning Discord trying to fix something that happened with the timer when they patched in frame rate. So I think it's just, the hobby growing. I think they just finally, they're going to put in their own mode. As for what it is, I have no idea. It could just be like the Nathan Drake collection. It could be, maybe there'll be a timer on the screen. Maybe that's it, But
You alright?
It's nothing.
I'm not some secret Naughty Dog dev.
Search for supplies.
I don't know. As much as you guys know is what I know.
Oh boy.
I am such a good liar. The title of this video is not clickbait. I have known about The Last of Us Remake since September of last year. Or if you're watching this video a couple years down the line, I've known about The Last of Us Remake since September of 2021. Now, Anthony, you might be asking. How did this come to be? Was it just like a leak or a rumor that you saw a long time ago and then you just had a strong hunch that it would be true? Or No, I mean, I was a Naughty Dog employee for one day. And my main contribution wasn't to any part of the game. It was for this. Hold on. Here we go. We're over here now. It was for this. I'll just pick something. Speedrun mode. This game has a speedrun mode. This video isn't going to be about what speedrun mode is, but I'll make another video about that in a few days from now. But I want this video to be about how this whole thing came about. Basically, I was hired by Naughty Dog. Myself and a few others were hired by Naughty Dog to consult with them on a speedrun mode that they wanted to put in the game. So this speedrun mode, and even in extras here, you get speedrun recap, and I played around with it a little bit. It's really, really, really cool. Any other speedrunner would just kill to have this in their game. All right, so let me switch scenes here. Where are we? Here we go. All right, so let's go back to the very beginning. It was August of 2021. It was actually on the day of my sister's wedding. I got a DM from someone who works at Naughty Dog. I didn't believe it at first, but then it turned out to be true that basically like, hey, we want to work with you on this mode that we want to put in our next project. They couldn't even like announce the remake until I signed an NDA. So again, at first I read it, I was like, yeah, okay. But then I looked at his profile, and it's like, oh, he's real. Oh, interesting. It's like on the day of my sister's wedding too, back in August of 2021. Yeah, they weren't able to reveal anything to me until, I could like legally sign a document. So what ended up having to happen was I had to be a Sony and Naughty Dog employee officially. So, oh man, and I can just think back to all of the paperwork. There was so much paperwork. I filled out paperwork as if I was going to work there full time. It was it was horrible. Because I haven't really been out in the workforce. Before I went full-time streaming, I worked like small part-time jobs. I never had a full-time job. So to work at like a major studio, God, I made so many accounts and signed so many things. I had to go to a building to like verify my identity and everything. It was so much work. But then we got the NDA signed, and then it was late September of 2021. We didn't do this in person. Like, when I did Retro Replay, I flew out to California. We didn't do that here. We did it over a very official Zoom meeting. So when the day came, and we got on the call, it was myself, Scarlet the Human, who doesn't do Twitch that much anymore, but a year ago she was running Part 2 a lot and knew a lot about how like the timing and the in-game time works and what's fast, what's not. She knew a lot of things about speedrunning Part 2. Blagus78 was also there. He made the load remover program for Live Split for Last of Us 2 speedrun, so we can get almost an exact, like a really good estimation of what our time is going to be. Because Part 2 doesn't have like an official speedrunning timer like the remake does. But we had to guess well enough, and he was able to make a program that gave us a pretty close estimate as to what our actual time was. That wasn't the official timing method. It was still in the load files for Part 2. But he made a program that made it very, very convenient as to, like, we knew what kind of pace we were on. He also made the load remover time for Horizon Zero Dawn as well. And the last person was, his Twitch name is Adef. He is also a full-time speedrunner, not of Last of Us, but a full-time speedrunner. And he recently he's also been on employed by Games Done Quick doing some of the interviews for the official marathons. And he also did a lot of QA work, quality assurance work, for pretty much all of the Naughty Dog games since Last of Us. I think he also did God of War as well. So he actually worked with them before. So that was it. It was myself and those three, and we went live on a Zoom meeting, sat in this chair, had a better shirt on than this, and we pretty much just shared our knowledge. The one thing and there's no like recorded footage of this meeting anywhere, and it did feel kind of weird because like, no pun intended, like the top dogs were there, like environmental artist, like the top programmers. I think the head creator of the game, Neil, wasn't like the head honcho for the remake. He was for the original, but not for the remake. I think the leader of the game was there as well. There were probably like over a dozen different people on the call taking notes, and it was just really, really cool. But we went around and like we said our name and what we do, and of course I'm over here saying, they all have these like accomplished resumes and stuff, and I'm over here like, I speedrun your game. So it was kind of funny. But no, that's what they brought us on specifically for. Before the meeting, I had a phone call with like setting this up with one of the employees and developers, and again, this was all so long ago. I'm trying to remember the best I can. It was basically like, yeah, we know, so like we want to put in an official speedrunning mode in the game, but we know so little about speedrunning that we didn't even think to put seconds in the files in part 2. When part 2 first released, all you had, because we had to time the runs with the in-game timer, and you saw what it was through the load or save files in the menu. When the game launched, it didn't even have seconds. It only had hours and minutes. And that's something that they just didn't really think about. So basically, they were like, we have a lot to learn with regards to speedrunning. And so that's really where this all came about. They wanted more knowledge from people who have a lot of knowledge about speedrunning or who do it for a living. And we were there for about an hour and 15 minutes just sharing knowledge that like we could just pretty much anything we could think of that could be beneficial to the mode. For example, like, is it going to be timed with a normal timer or the in-game time? And anyone, if you have a phone, you can do RTA. It was way more convenient for that timer to be in-game time. We also talked about it being on the screen because that helps for verification purposes. And they even went as far to like make the background a little transparent so you could see behind it. Because if it was a straight color, it could kind of, we assume like if someone's going to cheat, they would just kind of put a new timer over that one. So they made it a little bit transparent so you could see. We talked about that. What else did we talk about? Again, this was well over a year ago. So I'm just trying to think. Everyone added something different as well. We talked about the timer, whether it should be paused when a cutscene starts, only in speedrunning mode. We talked about that as well. They eventually went with it pausing during cutscenes, which I got to say is so convenient. It's very, very convenient. And we talked about, having some of best and like just how live split usually works. And basically different files for your speedruns as well, which is kind of in the speedrunning mode. Not like it doesn't work like save files, but it does save like whichever category, like difficulty, game, permadeath, new game plus combination you decide to pick. And yeah, we just spilled our guts of what we knew about speedrunning, about the hobby, and if you guys have played around with it already, you've seen the fruits of their labor and ours. It was a very beneficial meeting, and it was very, very cool to actually be considered a Naughty Dog employee. Not a dev. I know nothing about game development, but to be considered an employee for a day, it was really, really cool. And you got to see the faces behind the people who make these games. And it's very, very cool. You think this stuff just makes itself. It's hundreds, maybe even thousands of employees pouring their heart into these projects. And it's just very, very, very cool. It was even cooler for them to acknowledge this community. Because, these games sell millions and millions and millions of copies. And the speedrunning community is not as big as you might think. The most popular submission in the original Last of Us probably has only like 60 or 70 submissions. And there are probably like hundreds of people who have given it a try. But that's really all we're talking about here is hundreds of people. But I think Naughty Dog acknowledged the fact that this hobby is growing. You see the popularity increasing for games done quick marathons, raising money for charity, people who are able to do it for a career, not just myself, but a bunch of others as well. And also with other games, we talked about some of the inconveniences of, modern games nowadays have a lot of loading screens, so you can't really time games with a normal timer. So you need to rely on in-game timers. But some in-game timers in games aren't reliable for various reasons. Resident Evil is pretty guilty of that, I've heard from some runners. Even Horizon. So that was something else we talked about where it's like, if this time, like we want this timer to be consistent and reliable as well. And yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, that's pretty much how it was. But The hard part was the game was leaked online a little bit early. Not super early, like maybe a week before the first trailer came out. But of course, there were rumors online, so people asking me, it's like, have you heard about a potential remake? And it's like, yeah, I saw the article about it. I wouldn't read too much into it. I knew the whole time, though. What I remember, the first thing they shared with us was, like, when they were doing this is something I completely left out. When we were doing the call, we didn't even know what the game was going to be. They said, we want to bring you on as a speedrun. This was the official term for my position, a speedrunning consultant. We were speedrunning consultants. But they described it as, help us with this next project. They didn't even say it was going to be The Last of Us Remake. So when we went on the Zoom call with the developers, that next project was The Last of Us Remake. So they told us that, and this was my exact reaction. I remember my reaction. I was like, cool. Trying my hardest to be professional, but I was just like, cool. And I remember they already had a screenshot of they shared with us one screenshot of Joel overlooking like the bridge right before like the city's flooded in Pittsburgh, right before a hotel. And when Joel goes to get the pallet to bring over to Ellie, and there's the military turret, and he's like, "Oh, this place is bad." That part. They showed us a screenshot of that. And again, the year was the game was still a year away from being completed and shipped, and they had quite a bit of it done already. And they showed us what they already had done with the speedrunning mode. They had a little like what you see on, or like when you use the speedrunning mode, the timer you see on the top right. They pretty much had that already, except it was spread out horizontally instead of like vertical. Instead of it like being vertical like it is now, which is a pleasant change. At least that's what I think. Again, there's no like recorded footage from that meeting. I'm just trying to remember everything from a year ago, which is a bit difficult. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But yeah, they already had like some of the speedrun mode completed already, and they showed us, and we had some critiques and stuff. And yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Give me a second to think. I don't have any notes or anything, so I just think and talk. Yeah, that's kind of just how it came to be. Again, my sister's wedding, I got a DM, we set it up, we do the meeting, we find out it's a remake, we pretty much tell them everything we know about the hobby, verifying timing methods, and then we didn't hear from them for a while. Like they had everything that we said, so they knew what to do with it. And by the way, nothing we said was exactly how it had to be. Everything we mentioned was just suggestions. And yeah, they did with those suggestions what they wanted. And yeah, then the meeting was over, and I went on with my life, not saying anything about the remake. After that, not even when the remake was announced on June 9th could I say anything about my involvement. I could say once the embargo was up, which was August 31st. It's September 20th. I'm making this video right now. I got a little lazy with it. Sorry. I should have made this video a while ago, but yeah. And again, what else? I did a pretty good job of steering you guys clear of like talking about it, because let me tell you what happens if I spilled the secret early. I get sued into oblivion because of a little something called NDA, non-disclosure agreement. If I spilled my guts about what I did or what I knew, I get sued into oblivion. And I gotta commend them. It was pretty risky to consult with like a full-time Last of Us player and speedrunner, because, you get a lot of people coming to my stream and talking about it, it was almost pretty likely that I would have let something slip. But really what I did was, before June 9th, I would basically like snap at people who wanted to talk about the remake because, it got old after a while. It's like it hasn't been confirmed by Naughty Dog, so I don't feel like talking about it. And you should feel bad for bringing it up. That's basically what I did. I probably scarred some new viewers doing that. But that was my way of just steering clear of it all, And yeah, once June 9th rolled around, and it was so fun faking you guys out. That speedrun mode, I don't really know what it is, but maybe it'll just be a timer on a screen. I knew what it was going to be. we knew. But yeah, all of that work culminated into this. Hey, what's that name up there on the top? Right over there. What's that name doing there? Huh. Hey, wait a minute. Notice that. But hey, what's this name doing here? I hate to say you misspelled my name, but whatever. What's that doing there? What's that doing there? A very special thanks to the following for their guidance and support throughout development. What's this name doing here? I wonder. Huh. Well, since the embargo is over, I've known about the remake since September of last year. Yeah, that was a fun moment. To actually see my name in the credits and then to be able to tell everyone, that was really, really cool. There's this one little problem you saw, and I feel bad about this, but I don't feel bad, but it's a little embarrassing. They misspelled my last name. But you know what? That's what I get for like always bad mouthing the game. Like, oh, the AI is terrible. Bill doesn't do anything. Oh, I can't aim well in part 2. Let's be honest. I kind of deserve that. No, for real. I did bring it up with one of the devs that we did the meeting with, and they said next patch they'll fix it. They can't fix it without a patch. So no game goes patchless or updateless. So next one they'll fix it. But that was funny. At first I was like, oh man, but then I'm just like, you know what? I give them so much crap. I totally deserve that. But yeah, the whole experience was pretty cool. Again, I knew my expertise, my contribution to the game, it wasn't, oh, I think Joel should handle like this or shoot like this or do this. I'm not a game developer. Honestly, I know absolutely nothing about developing games or programming, coding. I know nothing about that. It was strictly about the speedrun mode. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other questions you have that I can answer, I'll do so in the comments. And again, I'll make another video talking exactly what the speedrun mode is and what it does, because it's very in-depth and very cool. Again, any other speedrunning community of slightly modern games would kill to have this in their game. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.